kids can use a show about all the weird, wacky, and straight up strange things that have been making your grown-ups freak out about the news lately. I'm Emin Rogers.
I'm Tori Ogawa, and welcome to the show. Today we have a great show for you with creepy things and some awesome headlines.
We'll give it a shot. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh! Anyway, I was singing that song because we finally have over half of the adults in the United States vaccinated with at least one shot. So not fully vaccinated just yet, but yay, getting there. Keep going, everybody. Keep going.
At the border of Belgium and France, a Belgian farmer decided that he was going to move the border stone that was first established in 1820, about 7.5 feet, just out of his way. He was kind of annoyed that the stone was just in his way, so he moved it, which is not something you're supposed to do, moving a country border. And this caused an international, oh my gosh, what's happening? And they are figuring it out and laughing about it. But hopefully it all gets worked out easily and they can just move that stone back and the border would be fixed. In some other headlines that we're going to talk about now, we're kind of revisiting some old big deals or old topics that we had once addressed before. So the first one is the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, which was recently passed by the House and also the Senate. So it's going up to President Biden to sign. But this bill kind of expands efforts to make reporting of hate crimes against the AAPI community more accessible and in multiple languages online, and makes it easier, and it also designates a point person in the Department of Justice to expedite and review those hate crimes so that they happen less and justice is served.
Which is really important because it's really hard to prove hate crimes, and so they get really underreported, and then nobody can do anything about it because nobody really knows exactly how much of it is going on. In another topic that's related to things that we've already talked about on this show, this year marks the 100-year anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, or the massacre at Black Wall Street, which in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was when a white mob overran a affluent, which means rich, Black part of the city and killed a whole bunch of people, injured a whole bunch of people, and flattened 35 square blocks of businesses, homes, and even a hospital. They're talking reparations in Congress, so they're talking about how to pay back the people who were injured and whose ancestors were injured in that time, and maybe who lost all their money and all their savings and their home in that massacre. And they're talking about how to really try to help heal from that horrible, horrible event. For our final headline, we get to announce that summer learning is just around the corner. It starts on June 1st. We have made a video. The video is up on YouTube somewhere around where you're going to see this. And it's pretty funny. And it tells you all about the summer reading and prizes and the summer learning challenge, which we hope you all take.
On today's big deal, we are talking about a major international conflict between Israel and Palestine. It's been going on for a long time in history, but really has amped up in the last few weeks.
People have been fighting, and the reason behind this is that there are two groups in the area. They are both different ethnically and different religiously, and both claim Israel, and specifically Jerusalem, as a holy area and as their homeland, and are not willing to share it with others. And right around the middle of the century, Israel claimed it as its own nation, and then Palestine became a territory, or rather two territories, one called Gaza and one called the West Bank, and there's just been unrest ever since. So that brings us to today, where Israel says Palestinians are being terrorists and bombing what is rightfully Israel, and the Palestinians say that they've been attacked and pushed out of their homes by Israelis. And the US says that everybody needs to calm down, but Israel is our ally, so we're going to back them up. And this is a really tricky part, we do sell weapons to Israel. So we are really involved in it, whether we like it or not.
Right. And so like these events have been airstrikes going back and forth. And it's kind of like if someone was getting in your personal space and after you tell them to move out of your way or something and they don't move, and then you hit them because you're mad, but then they hit you back, and then it's kind of just like back and forth, and it's a big fight after a while. It's kind of like that, but it's not this small of a situation where you're just fighting with your sibling or somebody. It's this huge conflict that is really costing people their lives.
Right, and the scariest part is it's costing civilians, so not soldiers, not military, not people who are trying to fight, but it's costing just regular people and sometimes kids their lives.
Today we have a new segment called That's Creepy. where we talk about some like creepy things. And our first story is about creepy fish. In California, there were some beachgoers and they came across this really creepy fish, which is actually a anglerfish or a deep sea fish that had washed ashore. And a lot of people really haven't seen these unless you watched Finding Nemo, where they're those scary fish with really sharp teeth and then they have like lights hanging down to attract other fish. And it just looks like a straight up monster. So creepy, so scary. I never want to come across of it.
That's creepy. My story is about cicadas. Brood 10, or this new group of cicadas that has been sleeping underground, is about to come up this year. And they don't really do that much besides shed their exoskeletons and make more cicadas. But they are pretty noisy, so get ready for some fun nighttime music from the cicadas. I think they sound like creak, 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 creak.
I mean, it's creepy because how long were they hibernating or sleeping?
17 years underground. And then they came up in 2021 and we're like, the world seems the same, mostly the same for cicadas.
I feel like they're like zombie bugs because they just sleep for so long and then come back. And
yeah, but I actually, now that I'm thinking about it from a cicada point of view, do you think they came up and they were like, that's creepy. Look what they did in 17 years. It's different now and it's not better. These walking around people things are creepy.
Well, if you have any creepy stories that you want to share with us, write us a letter at 1301 Sylvan Way, Bremerton, Washington, 98310. That's our show for this week. Thanks for joining us on News Kids Can Use, the show about all the weird, wacky, and straight up strange things that have made making your grown-ups freak out about the news lately.
We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will be back in 2 weeks. I'm Emmett Rogers.
And I'm Tori Ogawa, and if you see a weirdo fish monster on the shore, take a picture and send it to us.